Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Antonio from Still Point Ayurveda here in Philadelphia. And it's been a while since I've done a little talk. So here we are together again. And so today's topic is about Ayurveda's three doshas, what they are and aren't. And so, in brief, just to discuss this in a practical way, commonly we hear as clinicians, as Ayurvedic physicians in the West, especially this idea of when people come in thinking to ask, what's my dosha? And typically there are lots of websites here in the US that are New Age based that have this context in a website set up to do dosha quizzes and surveys and questionnaires and things like that. And that's what they are here as considered the doshas in the US, but it's not correct. In India, they don't really have that. In India, it's not an understanding that we go directly to an Ayurvedic physician or clinician and ask, what's my dosha? Because this is a misunderstanding, misidentification, misappropriation of the terms. We cannot go around thinking, I'm going to call you Vata person, Pitta person, Kapha person, things like that. This is not an identity. In the Western concept and psychology, we think we're going to put labels on things. And this is not correct. This is not practiced in India. It's not practiced for thousands of years. I'm seeing an Ayurvedic physician to think about what's my dosha. So that's just a quick correction of what doshas aren't in the context of how we think about them as Ayurvedic clinicians here with proper traditional training. So what are the doshas? So yes, we know Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, but it's much more than that. It's much more complex than just understanding the air type or the fire type or the heavy type, etc. There's a quote from Ashtanga Hridayam, Sutrasthana 1 and Shloka 6 that discusses the doshas, starts to introduce the concept of the doshas. And it's Vayu Pittam Kapas Cheti Trayo Dosha Samasataha Vikrita Vikrita Deham Gunanti Te Vartiyanti Cha. So what that means is that the three doshas, when they are in a sense in homeostasis within a particular individual, this brings support, strength, and maintains life. The three doshas, when they are working in an optimal sense, because everyone has some configuration or ratio proportion of the three doshas, because we have to, because 5 elements exist within each and every single thing in the universe, they sustain life. But these same forces that maintain life, when they go out of homeostasis, when they get out of alignment, when they become vitiated, when they start to increase and then become a gravity and momentum going in the direction of disease process formation samprapti, then become the forces of destruction and death. So the same things that can be very balancing and homeostatic and maintaining a life and well-being, when they go out of alignment, they become the forces of death and they speed up the process. So in Ayurveda, even the word Ayurveda, this distinctly is defined as the science of life and longevity, which of course includes the phase of death because that is a part of life. But understanding that the doshas can go one direction or the other, depending on where you're at in your life, depending on what you're doing with your diet and lifestyle, so ahar, vihar, and things like that. This is what the doshas are. They are the forces of life or the forces of death. They are not an identity. There is not loose terms to just throw around and saying you're a Vata type and let's fill out this questionnaire and things like that. It's much more complex than that. And there are volumes of information in the scientific Materia Medica of Ayurveda that talks about the doshas in so many ways. There's so much information talking about the qualities, the tendencies, what vitiates them, what brings them back into homeostasis, etc., which I've briefly touched upon in many of my videos, and maybe upcoming videos I'll fortify these things and really get more selective. But just for clarification today, the doshas are what these are, and are much more broader and also very specific depending on the context you're using, but definitely not some term that you just throw around saying you're so Vata, you're so Pitta, you're so Kapha, because they can actually be offensive. And speaking with several of my colleagues, when we talk about such things and people come in asking about these things or people associating these things and calling people, when you say you're such a Vata, Pitta, Kapha type, you're kind of putting a label and you're causing a judgment and you're causing, an injustice to Ayurveda, because this is not how Ayurveda was meant to be taught, how it was meant to be lived. It was not meant to be expressed this way. So I just wanted to clarify a little bit of what Vata, Pitta, Kapha are and are not, versus, or within the context of U.S. New Age Ayurveda, Western New Age Ayurveda, to traditional classical Shuddha Ayurveda, where it's really proper to understand what we're talking about. And if you see an Ayurvedic physician that's traditionally based, and you come in asking, "What's my dosha?" we will not really answer those questions, and we'll recorrect that information in a more proper format. Anyways, I'm always seeing new patients, and I'm always welcoming new faces and experiencing each individual's journey. And I look forward to being of service to my community. And hope you're having a lovely, lovely hump day. It's Wednesday. And till next time, namaste.